Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. It's Sunday again, and this week we are going to do another child portrait, and it's another one of my middle son from this photograph. We're going to be carrying on with different ways of transferring your image to your drawing paper, and this week we're going to use tracing paper. Very simple. I'm sure you all did it when you were at school, and it's still an efficient and simple way of transferring an image from one media to another. Now I have used a dedicated drawing tracing paper, which I actually bought from the works, but you can use even greaseproof paper, or if you've got a light box, going back to that, you could just trace using copy paper. What you are really using the tracing paper for is actually placing things in the correct positions, so like the eyes and all the features, the mouth, the nose, etc. And also for this drawing, which is quite a complicated one, it's to put the stripes on his little dungarees in the correct position, and plus the illustrations on his shirt. So just be sure to draw around everything, including shadows. I always actually include the shadows. Now what I'm doing is I'm going over my tracing with an ink pen, because as you will see later, this makes it much easier to see the outlines that you have done, because after this we're going to actually shade in on the other side to put some graphite onto the paper, which is what I'm doing here, so that you can transfer that graphite onto your drawing paper. So I just go over the edges. Now it is much easier because I have done it in ink on the other side, and you will see that even more so when we come to actually transfer the drawing. So I don't go totally over it, I just tend to go where the lines are, but if there are lots of lines close together, like on the eyes, I will just do it kind of as a blob. And the same with his dungarees, because there are a lot of lines close together on that. So now we've done that, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to tape this down to the paper so that it doesn't move, because this is the point where it really must not move. And then you start just, I'm making a little mark just here to show me where I've started, and then I'm just going to go around all the lines, and this is real-time speed, but I'm going to speed it up in a minute. So just around everything, and you can actually see where you have gone over the edge of the ink, which you wouldn't be able to see if you had just done it in pencil, because it does look quite complicated and quite messy. Just work your way around until you've finished, and then you've got your image transferred onto your paper. Now I'm coming in and starting the shading. Because the graphite paper, the way I've done it, is it transfers really easily, so that you don't need to keep checking to make sure that it has transferred, or to go over it afterwards. Coming in and shading a little bit of his skin, and now I'm going to do the eyes. And just a little bit of shading on the ear, just because it's close by, but I'm going to come back and do the other eye. And as always, I've got one eye right and the other one is not right, and you will see later on I do correct it. But I always get, as usually the first one, I always get one eye that I really like the best, and then the other one, well, I don't do it in one attempt. And that seems to happen ever so often with me. Shading in some of his hair there, and his his nose. And then coming down to his mouth. And I will return to each of these features again. This is just the first go round. So remember, I always say that. You do come back again and again, and you have to be really careful that you don't smudge it. And coming and putting his chin and some shading there, and then the shading element on his neck. Because if you watched last week's video, I said that the chin always makes a shadow on the neck. So you have to include that in order to give the drawing some 3 dimensions in the neck and chin area. Coming in here with his collar a little bit and doing some of the illustrations on his shirt collar. Now you'll notice I've put a piece of paper to stop me smudging the drawing that is at the bottom. And I'll use this a lot on this drawing because this one is very easy to smudge. With the black, I'm actually using a different pencil this week. I'm using a very soft pencil. It's a 6B, which is very soft. It's softer than I've used before, and I've used that on the hair, and I'm using it as well on the stripes. The only problem with very soft pencils is you have to keep sharpening them because you lose the point very fast. They go dull. And here you can see using that very black pencil. So if you only have an HB, you can still do it. As I've said before, there's no problem with that. It just will not be as black. But an HB gives a nice subtle effect, so it's a different sort of drawing. But I wanted, in this one, I wanted to actually really make the black pop out. That's why I've used such a soft pencil. I've also used my favourites, my 2B, B and the HB. Coming in and putting some of those illustrations on his shirt. If you remember, I said a few weeks ago that I never used to like drawing the clothes. I always just was interested in drawing the face. I think this particular illustration, the clothing is very important and really adds something to the whole drawing. So this is a good illustration of how to draw the clothing and how important the clothing can be in a drawing. This drawing actually took a long time to do. It took me 4.5 hours from beginning to end. So I managed to get the video down to 18 minutes and 20 seconds by increasing the speed of the video, in some cases by 10,000%. So you are seeing it very, very speeded up. I really enjoyed kind of colouring in this drawing. As a kid, I loved playing with colouring books and drawing in them and colouring them in, and in a way this is very reminiscent of that. I've got a drawing and I am colouring it in, so I guess I enjoy the process, the mechanics of the colouring in. So again, it's back down to the process. If you enjoy the process of drawing, then you will get good because you will practice it, and it doesn't matter what the end product is like. It is the actual doing that is important to you as the artist. Of course, that's not to say if you've done a drawing that you really like, then it does give you great satisfaction. But it's not the important part of art. The important part of art is enjoying doing it. And I can't say that enough. And if you enjoy doing it, then you will practice and you will do it again and again because it will be an enjoyable pastime. And the more you practice, guess what? The better you get. One thing that will really improve your shading is those mindfulness colouring books. If you get some colour pencils and just colour them in, they're a great way to pass some time. There's no pressure on you because you didn't do the drawing, but you can just enjoy doing the shading. So because I've enjoyed doing this drawing and because I've now got the tracing is almost like a negative. So I am going to next week do the same drawing, but I'm going to do it as an ink drawing, an ink sketch, and show you how I do that. Because it's always interesting as well to kind of do the same drawing in lots of different media and then compare them and see how they come out differently in different media. And I often do that for classes when I'm teaching because it's a good example, and then people can say, oh, I'd really like to have a go at ink, I'd really like to have a go at pastel, I'd really like to have a go at watercolour, and it's just a great introduction. Colouring in the stripes here on his bib, and you notice that the stripes, what comes out of when you've traced them is the fact that they're not all just straight lines. They have curves where they go through the creases, and to make it look really authentic you need to put in those curves, and that will give kind of the waviness of the fabric to your drawing. But if you get it wrong with stripes, then it looks wrong. It kind of shouts at you. Now I was so engrossed with this drawing that unfortunately I didn't notice in the monitor the fact that it's slipping out of the frame. And this is right at the bottom of the frame. I can't bring it up any further. So I did bring it up a little bit there, but you can't see his arms any longer, so I do apologise for that. But in the final drawing you will see the whole of it. But it's like I was saying with that total immersion thing, you just become lost in your drawing and you don't notice what's going on around you, and it's absolutely fascinating. And time just goes. I've moved it up a little bit for you. Now, one thing I didn't do in this drawing, or didn't show you, is the fact that you can spray your drawing, because a drawing like this is actually quite easy to smudge, and if you want to keep your drawing and keep it nice, then you really need to spray it. So what I will do next week at the beginning of my video, I will show you how I spray a drawing and tell you what to use, because it would be a shame if you put all that effort into it and you then smudged it. Now, this is where I can really see that that eye is wrong, because the whole iris is much bigger on one side than the other. As you look at it, the left hand side of the drawing, that eye is correct and looks right. The other one, it's too big. So, but I do come back in later on and erase it and try and correct it. But sometimes you don't notice these things straight away and you think, well, what is it that's wrong with my drawing? And that's when it's sometimes best to take a break and come back, and then maybe it will shout at you and tell you, yeah, that's what's wrong. Because that's sometimes when I'm doing a commission, I will leave it overnight and then come back and see what is wrong. And the other thing is I will take my drawing to a mirror and look at it in the mirror, because oftentimes it will really shout out at you what is wrong if you see it in the mirror. So I'm darkening his hair using my 6B pencil, being very careful not to smudge. But I haven't done his whole hair black. I have kept, there's a highlight on the right side of the drawing. You just see it's just a small one, but it just makes his hair shine a little bit. Obviously he must have moved when I cut his fringe, because it's pretty it's not very uniform. Now here, that's where I'm trying to correct with my electric eraser to make the iris slightly smaller, and then I'm coming in and putting that white line around the chin that I mentioned in a previous drawing. It's always there. And then I'm using also the electric eraser to put in the stitch lines on his dungarees. And also the highlight in his hair again. And cleaning up the edges of the picture. And I'm coming in here with a white highlighter pen just to go over that stitching on his dungarees. Now I am coming close to finishing up on this drawing. I hope you've enjoyed my video, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up down below. And also consider subscribing. I release new videos every Sunday at 15:30 British Summer Time. And if you subscribe and hit the little bell button, then you'll be sure never to miss any of my videos. Stay safe, stay well, and thank you for watching. Till next week, bye!